Hello my dear friends, Assalamu alaikum and welcome back. Friends, we are discussing about the urinary system of the human beings, right? Human urinary system. Now up to here we have covered about the kidneys and about urinary bladder. Now the last two parts which remain are the urethra and ureter. Now in this lecture I'm going to discuss about the anatomy of ureter, right? It will also take a little time because we are discussing everything in detail. We want you guys to learn everything in detail so that there should be no difficulty for you guys to remember everything. Now ureter, what are ureters? So first of all, let us clear it diagrammatically, then we will go and discuss about ureter. You know, my friends, we have a pair of kidneys in our body, right? So whenever the blood comes to your kidney, blood comes to the kidneys through renal arteries. So they are filtered here. The blood is filtered in the filtrating unit which are called the nephrons. So they are filtered here, and the filtrate is taken by narrow muscular tubes, right? And these two tubes are called the ureters. Now look carefully what I'm saying here. These are the two ureters, and they take the filtrate from your kidneys to a bladder which is called the urinary bladder, and that we have already discussed in the previous lectures. And from the urinary bladder, that filtrate will be expelled out of the body in the form of urine, right? So here we will expel urine outside, right? This is called excretion. Now in this lecture we are talking about these tubes. These are two ureters, right? So what are ureters? Here we say that in the kidney urine is formed here, okay, in the kidney, and urine is stored here. What is this? This is urinary bladder. Now look carefully. From here, this is the kidney and this is the urinary bladder. So in between the kidney and urinary bladder, there is a tube. There are two tubes which convey the urine from your kidneys to the urinary bladder. So these tubes are called the ureters. Now I hope you are clear about the concept of ureters. So what are ureters? Ureters are narrow thick-walled muscular tubes. I will discuss about it everything. Muscular tubes which convey means take, which convey urine from where? From kidneys to urinary bladder. From kidneys to urinary bladder. It's quite easy, right? So these tubes are called the ureters. Now look carefully. What is the exact location of these ureters, right? So we will discuss everything about ureters in detail. What is the exact location? So first of all, we should know that our urinary bladder has two important parts, right? About the location of the urinary bladder, we will say that the upper half is located in abdominal cavity. I will show where it is, and lower half is located in pelvic cavity. Lower half, right? I will show where. So about the upper half, we say that it is located in abdomen, right? In abdomen where? In abdomen where? It is posterior abdominal wall. Posterior abdominal wall, right? And then the lower half is located in pelvis or pelvic cavity. Pelvic cavity. And the lateral walls, right? Lateral walls, and posteriorly comes to the urinary bladder. So you will say the lateral wall, lateral pelvic wall, right? I will show it in the diagram, don't worry. Now look carefully. From it we say that the ureters have two parts. What are their parts? Right, it has two parts. First part is abdominal part, from where it begins and where it restricts, and then there is the pelvic part. Now let us see the abdominal part and the pelvic part of the ureter. I will draw here a diagram. Look here, this is your kidney, right? And one thing more, friends, this is our abdominal aorta, right? And abdominal aorta divides into right and left common iliac arteries, right? So look carefully, here begins your ureter at the pelvis of your kidney, so it comes up to here like this, right? And then what does it do? Then it goes back, come anteriorly, and then it goes back, so up to here. Look carefully, from the pelvis up to the bifurcation of the abdominal aorta, up to the bifurcation of I will say, let me explain it a little bit more. This is common iliac arteries, right and left, and this is internal iliac artery, and this is external iliac artery. Internal iliac artery and external iliac artery. Now look carefully, when it comes down up to here, right, up to this point. So what is this point? This point is the bifurcation point of the common iliac artery. What is this? This is common iliac artery. You understand it? So common iliac artery bifurcates here. Bifurcates means it's divides here, right? So the abdominal part of the ureter begins at pelvis. I'll write here, begins at pelvis of kidney, okay, and ends at bifurcation of common iliac artery. Bifurcation of common iliac artery. Now you understand, this is the abdominal part. Now from here down, which it goes backward, it goes backward and laterally little bit like this. It goes backward and laterally, and then comes again anteriorly like this. So here will be the other ureter. For example, this is the other ureter, right? And again it goes a little bit backward and then comes anteriorly to the base of the urinary bladder. Now from this point up to here, this is the pelvic part, right? So we say pelvic part begins at bifurcation of what? Common iliac artery up to what? Up to base of urinary bladder, right? So if you want to see this diagram from lateral aspects, so here will be your kidney, this will be your kidney, and this is your ureter, begins here and comes anteriorly, and then comes a little bit posterior and lateral, and then goes anteriorly like this, right? So here will be your urinary bladder, this is the base, and that will be the apex, and this is the lower part. So it comes here, right? And on that side the other one also comes like this, and then like this. So this will be the diagram from lateral view, right? So the urinary bladder begins from where? From the pelvis of the kidney and up to the bifurcation of the common iliac artery up to here. This is the abdominal part, and from here, from the bifurcation point of the common iliac artery up to the base of the urinary bladder, this is the pelvic part of the ureter. So this is abdominal part and this is the pelvic part. Now you understand it, right friends? So this was about the location and parts of the urinary of the ureter. Now what is the number of ureters. How many ureters do we have? In normal human body, there are two ureters, one on right side and one on left side. So right and left ureters. Okay, we know that. And what is the weight of the ureter? Weight. So it's about from 100 to 110 grams, one ureter, right? 100 to 110 grams. Then we say, what is the length of the ureter? The length. So length means from the beginning point up to the last point. What is the length? So from here up to here. So it may be, in case of males, it's about 30 centimeter, right? And in case of females, it's about 25 centimeter, right? So we say from 30 to 25, from 30 to 25 centimeter, this is the length, right? And then the diameter. What is the diameter of the ureter? So if this is a tube, this is the length and this is the diameter. So diameter here is little bit more and diameter here is little bit less. You can see that the tube, when it goes down, it's like this. When it goes down, it becomes narrower, right? So here the diameter will be different, here the diameter will be different. So diameter at the upper part is different and diameter at the lower part is different. So at the upper part, its diameter is about 7 millimeter and lower it's about 3 millimeter. It's a very narrow tube, right? Then we say, how many ends does it has? It has two ends, one the pelvic end, this one, and one the bladder end. So we say upper end and lower end. There is an upper end and there is a lower end. If you follow this, you will make very beautiful notes for yourself, right? Then we say that in the ureter, there are some constrictions there, which prevent the backflow of the urine from the urinary bladder to the ureter and back to the kidney. So there are some constrictions. Now you should know that what is constriction. Look carefully, I will make a diagram here. This is a tube, for example. It's a tube, right? And it's a normal tube. And in contrast to this, we will make another tube which should be like this. Like this. Right? So what is the difference? The difference between these two tubes is that in this tube there are some areas where the tube has been constricted, right? So our ureter is like this, right? The ureter has 5 constrictions. Our ureter has 5 constrictions. The first constriction, I will show the locations in the diagram also, right? So the first constriction is at the pelvic-ureteric junction. At pelvic-ureteric junction, the first constriction. And what is this exact location? Let me make here the diagram and we will see it, right? This is our kidney, right? And this is the, these are the calyces, minor calyces, major calyx, and this is the pelvis, and then this is the arising part of the ureter. So the first constriction is at here, right? First constriction is here. So this is the pelvic-ureteric junction. Pelvi means this is pelvis, right? This is pelvis and this is ureter. So at the pelvic-ureteric junction, there is the first constriction, like this. Right? Then there is the second constriction at the lesser brim, or we say at the brim of lesser pelvis. At brim of lesser pelvis. What is this point? Look carefully. Here is our pelvic cavity. The bones are there, right, like this, and here is the coccygeal bone, right. This is, here is a pelvic floor, pelvic cavity, right, like this. Okay, so at this point here is the lesser pelvis and here is the greater pelvis, right. This will be the greater pelvis and lower to that there will be the lesser pelvis. So this is the brim of the lesser pelvis. So when the ureter comes here up to this point, here is a constriction, right. So this is the constriction at the lesser pelvis. The third constriction is at the passing point of the ligament of broad ligament of uterus in females and the ductus deferens in males. So at passing point of vas deferens in males, right, because females don't have these ducts. So vas deferens in male, and this is for male, and broad ligament of uterus in females. This is for females. So where there is the broad ligament of uterus located, at that point there is the third constriction. Or in case of males, where there is the vas deferens passing, right, when it passes the vas deferens, there is a constriction, right. And the fourth constriction is at its oblique pass to the urinary bladder. Look carefully, at its oblique pass through urinary bladder. When it passes through the urinary bladder obliquely, so here is the another constriction present, right. And the fifth constriction is at its opening distally, at its opening distally. Distally means it makes a wall here. Look carefully. When this comes to the urinary bladder here, when it, for example, let me make the diagram here. This is your urinary bladder and this is the ureter coming here and enters the trigone, right. So here is the last constriction inside the urinary bladder. So here is the last constriction, which acts as a wall and does not allow the urine to pass, to go back, regurgitate back, right. So these are the 5 constrictions which are present in the in your ureter, right. So this was the first lecture about ureter, friends. Next lecture will be about the innervation and blood supply, and then we will discuss also the histology and relations of the urinary bladder. So if you want to make notes of it, you can make it here. So inshallah we will see you in the next lecture. Till then, friends, Allah Hafiz.